person I could have become. Part 1. You, ghost-of a sociopath. Before the story, I want to let you know this is a hard story to read and it's a hard story to believe. So I get it if you don't believe this story. Also, I did not get back the part of me that was stolen. So this is the story of what made me the sociopath that some of you are familiar with through reading my multiple nuclear revenge stories. It is a long story about my early childhood, some of which I remember and some I was told by my older sister and mother. Then my revenge against the people who were responsible. I have been debating whether or not to post this due to the criminal behavior, and it is also a hard story to read. But I've had some interesting experiences with the aftermath of posts that I've made here. So let's get to it. I had a horrible childhood with no father around, and my mother left me alone for most of my childhood. Around the time I was 6, my mother started dating a man we will call Tom, short of stepfather, and Tom had a son that was 10 years older than me. We will call him Jerry, short for stepbrother. At first everything was fine until they were married and we moved into our house together. It started with my mom and Tom arguing almost every day. And after every argument, when I was alone with Tom, he would tell me how much of a bitch my mom was. And this progressed to beating the shit out of me. Then tell me that if I said anything he would kill me and my mother. So every black eye, every bruise, and once he broke my right elbow were all explained away with clumsiness and fights at school. He would always say in passing, "Don't take any wooden nickels, this will become relevant later." This went on for years. Until one day, that I completely blocked out of my memory, and my older sister had told me this part. My mom had said that she was going to leave Tom this particular morning. So when I got home from school that afternoon, this is the scene my sister came home to. I was sitting on the couch motionless with a completely blank face, while Tom had a gun pressed to my forehead. My mom, who was coming in right behind my sister, was frantically trying to talk him down from, well, killing me. We got away from him eventually, and that's what Tom had done to me, but to be completely honest, it wasn't the worst part about my childhood. I'm going to keep this part short. There is no reason to get into specific with this part of my life. As I said, Tom had a son 10 years older than me. Jerry was a pedophile, and how do I know this? Well, there's no easy way to say this, so Jerry started molesting me when I was 7. Almost every time he had stayed at our house, obviously he lived with his mother, he'd sneak into my room and you get the idea. I, of course, dissolved all of what made me feel. Fun fact about Jerry is he was really active in his church and was on his way to becoming a pastor. But he became a teacher instead. So let's jump ahead about 10 years. At this point I'm on every substance known. I've been in and out of halfway houses and being homeless and living in my car. It had been a long time since I have even thought about Tom and Jerry. Till I was at a park across the street from an governmental office that handles stuff like welfare and other things in that vein. When I see a big white truck with the name of Tom's company on the side, he owned a small general contracting company, so I took off after it on foot, and sure enough, it was him. Obviously picking up day laborers just like he used to do when I was a kid. Suddenly, like a dam broke in my brain. Everything I lived through, everything Tom and Jerry had done to me came rushing into focus in my mind, and I felt rage, and my path became clear. I was going to destroy Tom and Jerry. My revenge. I will be tweaking the timeline, some of the injuries, and some of the dialogue to keep anonymous, and who knows, maybe I've made it all up. Part 1. Tom I'll start this with saying, isn't the internet great? I wrote down his phone number off the side of his truck. I immediately found where he lived, and it just so happened to be the same shithole house where all of my nightmares take place. I'll spare you the tedious details of stalking Tom and casing Tom's house. So as a kid I spent a lot of time in that house. I knew everything there was to know about it, and to my delight Tom had done absolutely nothing to the home in the whole 10 years since I lived there. So while following him he led me right to the home of my second target, and I can't tell you how many hours I put into my logbook of both Tom and Jerry's routine. The night I was waiting for had arrived. I broke into his house. Not the first time I did. I made sure to find his gun, and to make sure that he had no other weapons at his disposal, he had passed out drunk on the couch, the same fucking one he had when I lived there, so I walked through the home making sure that there were no possible way for us to be interrupted. The stage was set. I pulled up a chair, and this is some of what followed. For obvious reasons I'm not going to post what was actually said, but you can rest assured that you will have the meat of my fun little play. Side note: the house is in an area I'd call urban desert, and the area is really bad off. You can hear gunfire every night and sirens all night long. It's been like that since I was a kid, and it has gotten worse. In Tom's living room, me sitting on a dining room chair pulled up in front of his couch. I'm holding up Tom's gun, fully loaded, pointed at his forehead. I slapped Tom. He sits up, rubbing me side of his face, looks up at me and jumps. Tom, what are? I hit him with the butt of his gun. This is important, remember I have his guns. Me, sad face, shoving a balled up sock in his mouth. Me, you are only going to talk when I ask you to talk, and when you do, you are going to talk in a regular tone. If you yell, you might not see tomorrow. Do you understand? Tom nods yes. Me, take the gag out. Tom does what he's told. Wah. Me, punches him in the ribs. I didn't say you could talk, but I'm going to let you ask me 3 questions. Okay, go ahead. Tom, what are you doing here? Me, this hits him again in the same spot. Tom, if you want money, I don't have any. Me, hits him in the face. That wasn't a question, and I know. SF, you have no money. That's not why I'm here. Go ahead, ask me a question. Tom, what do you want? Me, for you to be in pain, of course, and you know that you deserve it. Now stand up. Tom starts crying and slowly getting to his feet. Side note: when I was a kid he looked massive and always scared me, even when he wasn't being abusive. But now I tower over him by 8 inches and outweigh him by at least 80 pounds. Me, getting darker. Why are you crying like a little bitch? Then I slapped Tom again. Do you think that I'm going to kill you? Tom nods yes. Me, well, I haven't decided whether or not to end your life yet. Then I started with the real beating. I burst one of his eardrums, broke his nose, his arm and elbow, and this was a somewhat long process. It could have been 2 or 3 hours. Me, well, Tom, I'm going to be leaving now, and if you call the police in less than 6 hours, I'm going to kill your son Jerry. Then I told him everything that I know about Jerry, from his address to his workplace, Jerry's fiance's name, and even Jerry's mom's name. Me, remember, don't take any wooden nickels. Then I hit him as hard as I could and knocked him out, and then slipped out the same way I came in. This is the end of part 1, and if you think this is bad, remember, physical wounds can heal. What I do to Jerry is life-destroying, without actually killing him. Edit. I was wearing clothing that covered my identity completely. I thought that it was a given. Edit. I was just told by the people who run this sub that I couldn't use acronyms, so I had to change the names. Sorry, part 2 is up.